Hey everyone! Today we're diving into an ancient and interesting piece of history, the story of the Anunnaki. These mysterious beings hold a significant place in the mythology of ancient Mesopotamia, revered by the Sumerians, Akkadians, Assyrians, and Babylonians. The name Anunnaki might sound exotic, but it has a meaning tied deeply to their lore. It comes from An, the Sumerian god of the sky, and it roughly translates to princely offspring, or offspring of An. The Anunnaki were believed to be the children of An, the god of the heavens, and Kai, the goddess of the earth. Together, they were seen as powerful deities responsible for decreeing the fates of humanity. According to ancient texts, these gods were part of a divine family. The oldest and most influential among them was Enlil, the god of air and the chief deity of the Sumerian pantheon. Sumerian mythology tells us that before Enlil's birth, heaven and earth were inseparable. Enlil was the one who split them apart, carrying away the earth while his father, An, took the sky. What's intriguing about the Anunnaki is how they were viewed by the ancient Mesopotamians. They were often depicted as larger-than-life figures with extraordinary powers, wearing horned caps as a mark of their divine status. Their appearance was described as radiant and awe-inspiring, cloaked in something called melem, a mystical, terrifying splendor that set them apart from mortals. This aura was so intense that seeing it could cause a physical reaction, described as a tingling sensation. In their religious practices, the Mesopotamians believed that these gods lived in the heavens but were also present on earth through their statues. These statues weren't just symbols, they were treated as actual embodiments of the gods. Priests would care for them daily, offering food, clothing, and even conducting rituals to keep them pleased. Temples were considered their earthly homes, complete with boats and chariots for transporting their statues during festivals, or even to battlefields to watch over their people. The Anunnaki are most often mentioned in literary texts, but interestingly, there's little evidence to suggest they had a collective cult following. Instead, individual gods among the Anunnaki had their own dedicated worshippers and temples. Despite this, they were still seen as a cohesive group in mythological narratives. One example is the Assembly of the Gods, where major deities would gather to make decisions, reflecting the semi-democratic legislative systems of the time. The earliest mentions of the Anunnaki date back to the reign of Gudea and the Third Dynasty of Ur, around 2144 to 2004 BC. In these ancient writings, the Anunnaki were described as the most powerful deities in the pantheon, including figures like An, Enlil, Enki, Ninkersag, Nana, Utu, and Inanna. While the texts don't always agree on their exact roles, or even how many Anunnaki existed, they consistently portray them as beings of immense authority. In one poem, they are seen honoring Enki and taking their place among the people of Sumer. These gods weren't just distant figures in the sky. Each major deity was associated with a specific city, acting as its patron and protector. Their presence was woven into the daily lives of the people, believed to reside in the temples of their cities. In some texts, as many as 50 Anunnaki are mentioned in connection with the city of Eridu. Yet in other stories, such as the tale of Inanna's descent into the Underworld, only 7 Anunnaki are described, serving as judges in the Netherworld. In this myth, they condemn Inanna for her arrogance, showcasing their role in maintaining cosmic balance. The Sumerians also connected their gods with celestial bodies. Inanna was linked to the planet Venus, Utu to the sun, and Nana to the moon. An was associated with all the stars of the equatorial sky, while Enlil and Enki governed the northern and southern skies respectively. These celestial connections added another layer to their divine nature, tying their myths to the movements of the heavens. And Anunnaki unfolds even further as we explore their depiction in the Akkadian, Babylonian, and Assyrian traditions. As time progressed, these ancient deities began to embody more intricate and varied roles, particularly in their connection to the underworld. Akkadian texts from the 2nd millennium BC provide an intriguing portrayal of the Anunnaki, closely aligning them with the underworld, much like in the Sumerian story of Inanna's descent. In one abbreviated version of the tale, Ereshkigal, the queen of the underworld, is depicted sharing water with the Anunnaki. Later, she summons them to her palace, ordering her servant to prepare an opulent setting with coral-decorated thresholds and golden thrones. These vivid descriptions paint a picture of the Anunnaki as regal, chthonic beings who wield great influence in the realm of the dead. Moving into the Old Babylonian period, a new group of deities known as the Igigi enters the scene. Their relationship with the Anunnaki is somewhat ambiguous, with some texts using the terms interchangeably, while others, like the Poem of Era, distinguish the Igigi as a separate celestial class. The Atrahasis epic sheds more light on this dynamic, depicting the Igigi as gods forced into labor by the Anunnaki. After enduring 40 days of grueling work, the Igigi rebel, prompting Enki, one of the Anunnaki, to create humans to take over their duties. This pivotal moment signifies humanity's role as laborers for the gods, a theme that resonates throughout Mesopotamian mythology. By the Middle Babylonian period, the Anunnaki had become synonymous with the deities of the underworld, while the Igigi represented the heavenly gods. Among the underworld Anunnaki, figures like Damkina, Nergal, and Madanu stood out as particularly powerful, alongside Marduk, the prominent national god of Babylon. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Anunnaki appear as 7 judges of the underworld, described as setting the land ablaze with fire as a great storm approaches. They later mourn alongside Ishtar over the destruction brought by the flood, showing a rare glimpse of their emotional connection to humanity. The Babylonian creation myth, the Enuma Elish, offers another perspective, portraying Marduk assigning roles to the Anunnaki. In a late version of the epic, their numbers are detailed: 600 as underworld deities and 300 as celestial beings, hinting at an elaborate cosmological hierarchy. In gratitude, the Anunnaki construct Esagila, a grand temple dedicated to Marduk, further cementing his dominance among the gods. As we transition to the Neo-Assyrian period, we encounter tales of Marduk leading the Anunnaki into conflicts, such as a battle in the sacred city of Nippur. This story describes how Marduk's actions caused a flood, forcing the gods of Nippur to seek refuge. Enlil, angered by this chaos, orders Marduk and the Anunnaki to be captured, leading to a dramatic trial. These narratives emphasize the complex and often tumultuous relationships between the gods themselves and with humanity. Meanwhile, the Hurrians and Hittites adopted and adapted the Anunnaki into their mythologies, referring to them as the former ancient gods, or gods of the earth. These deities were believed to reside in the underworld, ruled by the goddess Lelwani. In one Hurrian myth, the old gods assist in defeating the stone giant Olokumi by finding the weapon that once separated heaven and earth. While their names and exact roles vary, the Anunnaki's presence in these traditions underscores their lasting significance. Interestingly, the myths of the Anunnaki bear striking parallels to later Greek mythology. For instance, the Hittite story of Anu's castration by his son Kumarbi closely resembles the Greek tale of Ouranos and Cronus, showcasing the interconnectedness of ancient mythologies across cultures. The Anunnaki's legacy took a dramatic turn in modern interpretations, particularly through the lens of pseudo-archaeology and conspiracy theories. Authors like Erich von Däniken and Zechariah Sitchin reimagined the Anunnaki as extraterrestrial beings who visited Earth in prehistoric times. Sitchin's writings, in particular, gained widespread attention, claiming that the Anunnaki came from a distant planet, Nibiru, to mine gold and created humans as their labor force. These speculative theories, despite being discredited by scholars, continue to captivate the imaginations of many. As we piece together the threads of ancient texts and modern interpretations, the story of the Anunnaki remains one of the most intriguing sagas of mythology and human curiosity. The complexity of their roles, as gods of the underworld, celestial beings, and even speculative extraterrestrials, reflects the rich tapestry of belief systems that have shaped human history.